Hello and welcome. You have tuned in to In Your Interest here on News 9 Live. I'm Krishna Kumar, and the big story on the show today is the effect that Hindenburg's latest report has had on India's market regulator Sebi. All eyes are now on Sebi. That's the big story that we're tracking in this edition of In Your Interest. Now, in its latest report, US-based short seller Hindenburg Research made some serious allegations against Madhabi Puri Buch, the chairperson of India's Securities and Exchange Board, or Sebi, the market regulator. The report had alleged that Buch is connected to obscure offshore funds, and those funds are connected to the Adani group. Now, apart from many other things in the report, it questioned the credibility of Madhabi Puri Buch, and in a response, Sebi chief and her husband Dhaval Buch, who's also mentioned in the report, issued a joint statement and said that the US-based short seller Hindenburg is attacking Sebi's credibility and indulging in quote-unquote character assassination of its chairperson. Now, 24 hours later, the matter has become political. The opposition parties are demanding a fresh probe. The Congress Party, the TMC and others of the India bloc have reacted strongly. Congress Party leader Jairam Ramesh demanded a JPC or a joint parliamentary committee probe, while Rahul Gandhi, the leader of the opposition, raised some serious concerns about the impact of Hindenburg's latest report on the country's financial system and the role of the Securities and Exchange Board of India, or Sebi. Listen in.
International cricket match between India and Australia, and every single person who's watching the match and those playing the match know that the umpire is compromised. What would happen to the match? What would happen to the fairness of the match? What would happen to the outcomes? How would you feel as somebody who's participating in the match? This is exactly what is happening in the Indian stock market. Over the last few years, larger and larger numbers of people have been investing in India's stock market. They invest their hard-earned, honestly earned savings in the stock market. And it is my duty as leader of the opposition to bring to your notice that there is a significant risk in the Indian stock market because the institution that governs the stock market is compromised. Now I'm going to explain to you exactly how and why it is compromised. A very serious allegation against the Adani group was illegal share ownership and price manipulation using offshore funds. It has now emerged that Sebi chairwoman Madhabi Buch and her husband had an interest in one of those funds. This is an explosive allegation because it alleges that the umpire herself is compromised. The savings of millions of Indians, hard-earned, honestly earned savings, are at risk. It is therefore imperative that this matter is investigated. Retail investors, honest investors, pensioners have three questions. The first, why has Chairperson Madhabi Buch not resigned? Second, God forbid something were to go wrong and investors were to lose their money. Who is responsible? Is the Prime Minister of India responsible? Is Madhabi Buch responsible? Or is Mr. Adani responsible? And finally, the Supreme Court has been looking at this matter. New allegations have emerged. Very serious, explosive allegations have emerged. Is the Supreme Court going to look at this matter suo motu again? Slowly becoming crystal clear why Prime Minister Modi is against a joint parliamentary committee looking into this matter.
Now, reacting to Congress Party and Rahul Gandhi's allegations, BJP MP Ravi Shankar Prasad said and rebuffed that and said that the Congress Party, after being rebuffed by the people of India, its allies and the toolkit gang have conspired together to usher in economic anarchy and instability in India. He further called these allegations a completely baseless attack. Take a look.
कि जब हिंडनबर्ग के खिलाफ बाकायदे सेबी ने एक नोटिस किया जुलाई में, अपनी पूरी इंक्वायरी कंप्लीट करने के बाद, जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जुरिसडिक्शन में हुई थी, उनके आदेश के कारण हुई थी, तब अपने बचाव के पक्ष में कोई जवाब दिए बिना उन्होंने ये अटैक किया है, बेसलेस अटैक, जिसका जवाब एक ग्रुप ने दिया है, हमें कुछ नहीं कहना है।
So many questions being raised and such strong rebuttals being issued. To understand this better, we have a couple of very special guests joining us. We have Mr. Sriram Subramaniam, founder and MD, Hindenburg Research Services, joining us. Sriram, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on In Your Interest. We also have Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, former Finance Secretary, also joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Garg, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. I'm going to begin by asking you, so many questions being raised, is it time for a joint parliamentary committee probe? Should the Supreme Court take suo motu cognizance of what is going on? Tell us your view on the matter.
See, this time the report from Hindenburg targets Madhabi Buch, the chairperson of Sebi, not Adani directly. And the principal accusations are of two types. Number one, that Madhabi Buch had made some investments in a firm, offshore firm, which was controlled by the brother of Gautam Adani, and the investment were made in one particular outfit which was controlled by an Adani executive. That is one. The report also says that the investment were liquidated later in 2018 or so. So that's one type of connection with Adani, which is so to be established. The second type of allegations are basically targets the impartiality and the independence of the chairperson and the propriety of the chairperson herself. She established two companies with her husband, one in Singapore and the other one in India, the consulting kind of firm, and she owned 100% ownership in the Singapore firm and 99% ownership in the Indian firm. Now, these two firms continue to operate after she joined in 2017, and there is an evidence which suggests that at least Indian firm continue to earn a lot until 22 for the time for which the accounts are available. And this kind of continuing a commercial relationship with a firm, there is also an allegation that she might have continued to operate it, that we don't know it as yet. And a related allegation against her independence is that her husband became a senior advisor in Blackstone, which made a lot of investment in the REITs,
right.
And while she continued to make policy relating to. So the allegations are questioning the impartiality and the independence. These allegations have not been denied by the duo, and that is what makes this case little complicated. I don't think any JPC can investigate these matters, but some independent mechanism need to be found out, because these allegations cannot be allowed to go away just like that.
Okay. Some independent mechanism. Sriram Subramaniam, if I were to ask you, what is if the JPC won't be able to solve this complicated matter, then who can? Will it be the Supreme Court, CBI? Talk to us. What are your views?
No, firstly, there is no need for a JPC or anything. I mean, at the end of the day, the entire report, especially released by over the weekend, is hogwash. Okay. Firstly, let me dismiss the REIT section on REITs. I mean, I am a member of the FICCI Financial Markets Committee, and we have, over the number of years, asked for reforms in REIT. I mean, industry associations, other market participants have sought for reforms in REIT. So, and Sebi has always done things in a consultative manner, floated a consultation paper, market participants have contributed to it, etc., etc. And then the board of Sebi has it. It is not one individual taking the decision. So at the end of the day, whatever reforms have happened in the interest of markets, and it has been sought by all market participants. And two is, even the Hindenburg report doesn't say how any of these REIT reforms benefited that one individual entity, Blackstone. And at the end of the day, none of these reforms have benefited any single market participant. And so that entire section on Reed and this one is complete hogwash. And Blackstone has also dismissed that Dhaval Buch was involved anywhere in the private in the real estate business in India. His interests and his expertise lay in supply chain. He was a senior executive at Unilever. And so his entire contribution has been to Blackstone in the rest of Asia or in India, but in a supply chain manner. So at the end of the day, just an association, you're sort of extending the association to areas which have no merit at all. Okay. So from that perspective, that section. We're coming back to Madhabi Puri Buch's interest in IP, which is the amount that was unwound in 2018, when she had no clue that she would firstly ever be the chairperson of Sebi, and even her appointment at WTM, she had no clue when she made that investment in that IP. And that amount, as IIFL itself has put out, is 1.5% of the overall assets that they manage. So, this one, there is a chronology of events that has to be also put out. You cannot say just because something happened 30 years ago and now he is a prime minister, so you are linking those two. There has to be a chronology of events. So this report, especially over the weekend, was amateurish at best. And hogwash at worst.
Amateurish at best was the Hindenburg report, is the word coming from Sriram Subramaniam. We are going to continue discussing this big story, but time now for a short breather here on the show. We'll be back with lots more on In Your Interest in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. Keep it with News 9 Live.
This was the kind of terrain that mountaineers basically climb on. You're talking of peaks of 15,000 and 16,000 feet. You have trouble breathing, the cold, the high altitude, the dizziness, the enemy staring at your face. And in some of those cases, the Pakistanis were not even expending ammunition. They were throwing rocks at the Indian soldiers. That's how close it was.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
Have not quite lived up to their pre-tournament billing, delivering a series of less than convincing performances. For 2 draws and a solitary win.
Your son will be Messi. No studies, just football all day. Go, my son, go. Make my face shine through playing football.
Not only your face, but also the country's. I will conquer the world by playing football. Come, let's go to Germany!
World's largest football talent hunt, News 9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BVB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
Hey, careful, huh? My daddy got it from abroad. Hey, disaster! How will you pay for the loss now?
In stock market, you should take risk as per your capacity and knowledge. Trade in options very carefully.
Wow, Dikra! Absolutely perfect! Take risk with full understanding.
Invest Fast. My God, isn't she your daughter?
Yes.
She's playing football. This is boys' game. Make her study. If she doesn't get a good job, she will get a good match. Will you win the world by playing football?
Yes, auntie. My daughter will win the world by playing football.
Let's go to Germany.
World's largest football talent hunt, News 9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BVB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
You're watching In Your Interest. I am Krishna Kumar. We are discussing the Hindenburg effect on India's market regulator SEBI's chairperson Madhabi Puri Buch. We have Jairam Subramaniam, founder and MD in Government Research Services, and Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, former finance secretary. Mr. Garg, Jairam Subramaniam believes that the entire report was a hogwash and amateurish at best. Would you concur with that?
I don't like to join issues with the panelist. That must be his opinion. I don't think it deserves to be dismissed like that.
Okay.
Especially, as I said, the two consulting related allegations. Those need to be sort of, those are not going to die away anytime soon. A lot of questions would be asked further. Did she what did she disclose? As she has said yesterday, that they had disclosed the fact of the consulting ownership to the SEBI and to the government. What was disclosed? What did the government and the SEBI do about it? Why did she continue with owning that until 22 or maybe even now? Did she do something relating to those consulting after that? What kind of profits these consulting firms made? What kind of assignments these firms actually continue to do? So there are all kind of things which will need to be found out. What, to my mind, it does is that it affects the moral and the statutory authority of Madhabi Buch, and she herself will find it more difficult to continue. And this associated with another fact. Supreme Court asked SEBI to investigate the allegations against Adani in January 2023. Various timelines were given, deadlines were given, but still SEBI has not completed that investigation. So is there a connection between those delayed investigation and the personal interest or the little bit of compromised position which now emerges? So I think all these issues are not going to get away. It is easy to dismiss them as hogwash or whatever, but we will do it at the cost of our own credibility if we take it that way.
Okay. We're doing it at the cost of our own credibility. Jairam Subramaniam is the word coming in from Mr. Garg. Tell us in particular, what exactly about this report do you think merits no discussion whatsoever? Because the fact of the matter is that Hindenburg doesn't reveal the sources from where it gets this information that it has. It just puts out the information over there and then lets you be the judge of it. In terms of the coherence, there is a timeline in this report of when, Madhabi Puri Buch was invested in that fund and when she became a whole-time member of SEBI and then she became the chairperson of SEBI. In that sense, it's not completely illogical.
Yeah, so see, what is coherent in the report is only the shareholdings as of today, which you and I can easily pick out from the MCA website, shareholding of her and her husband, right? MCA website and the Singapore authorities. So that is a very easy thing. And as Mr. Subhash Garg said, and SEBI has put out a statement to the effect that these disclosures of shareholdings of not just Madhabi Buch, but even her family members are hopefully made on an ongoing basis to the internal compliance department at SEBI. We don't have a mechanism as of now. We cannot make rules on a retrospective basis. We don't have a mechanism as of now where regulators, be it not just SEBI, any other regulator, if they have shareholding or their wealth or anything, is managed by a blind trust. Going forward, possibly, we could institute such mechanisms, not just at SEBI, at other regulators also. Even for bureaucrats for that matter, why not? So their shareholdings, everything should be put in a blind trust and managed by third parties. So that kind of mechanism could exist, but that is a future going. So should we pay credence to some random research firm which is based out of New York, which is putting out a report and trying to vilify our markets? No. Why should we do that? Yes, we should take cognizance to the effect that possibly there is a need for a change. But beyond that, nothing.
Okay. Mr. Garg, I have a simple question to ask you. Is it time, if you think that the Joint Parliamentary Committee probe is not going to be useful in this matter, do you think it's time that the Supreme Court of India takes suo motu cognizance, or is it time for the government to order a probe by, the special investigation team or the CBI?
See, I want to clarify one point. There are two kinds of disclosures. One is you have certain stock, shareholdings, etc. Then the other type is whether you have some consulting and other business work which you are doing. Whatever I know, irrespective of the regulators, whether it's the Reserve Bank or even Finance Commission and all, whenever anybody is appointed, all these business relationships are invariably asked to be discontinued. Shareholdings, of course, can go into some system where you don't do the transactions during you are not expected to sell them off. But business relationships is an exception. I don't think this is allowed to be continued anywhere. And there was no reason for Mrs. Buch to continue to do these own this business entities after she joined. So this is going to be very seriously questioned and must be looked at. That what kind of disclosure she made? Why did she continue those relationships? Why was she not asked to divest them? And to come to your question about the appropriate mechanism, you see, Supreme Court is not an investigation agency. Let's face it. Even when the earlier allegations were made against Adani's by the Hindenburg, the Supreme Court asked Sebi, and probably rightly so, because Sebi has the competence to investigate.
Okay.
Now, when Sebi itself is being questioned,
so who regulates the regulator? That's the question. Who regulates the regulator?
Who investigates now even the Adani allegations as well as the allegations against? That is why I said they need to find out some independent mechanism which is bereft, which is divested of the politicalization of it. I think that only can bring the credibility.
Okay, we will leave it at that. We're completely out of time here on that discussion. Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, former Finance Secretary, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. And also Mr. Sriram Subramaniam, founder and MD in Governed Research Services. Thank you so much for being with us here on In Your Interest. Moving on. Sunil Bharti Mittal led Bharti Enterprises has bought 24.5% stake in British Telecom from Altis UK, BT's largest shareholder and the investment vehicle of a French telecom tycoon Patrick Drahi. British Telecom, or BT, is the largest broadband and telecom company in the United Kingdom. This deal will make Bharti Global, the investment arm of Bharti Enterprises, the largest shareholder in the BT group. Remember, it was British Telecom that had first picked up a 21% stake in Bharti Airtel back in the year 1997 when India's telecom market was in its infancy. With this, Bharti Enterprises becomes yet another Indian corporate house to mark its international foray by acquiring stake in a global conglomerate. Tata Group's acquisition of UK's Tetley in the year 2000 was the first major acquisition by an Indian company buying majority stake in a British entity. Then came Wellspun India in the year 2006, buying out an 85% stake in Christie, UK's leading terry towel brand. Now, the series of Tata Group's UK acquisitions also included Anglo-French steel major Chorus Group for $12 billion in the year 2007, closely followed by the Jaguar Land Rover deal in 2008 for just about $2.3 billion. In the year 2016, M&M made history by buying the UK's two-wheeler brand BSA, followed by M&M's own acquisition of UK's Norton Motorcycles in the year 2020. Now, outside of the UK, Indian IT companies including the likes of Infosys, Wipro and HCL Tech have been on a shopping spree to buy generative AI companies globally. Bharti's acquisition of 24.5% stake in British Telecom for roughly $4 billion ranks among the biggest global acquisition deals in the UK by an Indian company after the Tata Group. But remember, this is not the first time that Bharti has looked outside of India to expand its network. Bharti Airtel has led operations in Africa since the year 2010 after acquiring Zain Telecom's Africa business at an enterprise value of over $10.5 billion. And with that, we've completely run out of time here on this edition of In Your Interest. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.
Joe Biden is not going to be the Democratic presidential nominee.
I made my choice. Kamala Harris. She's experienced. She's tough. She's capable.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
I am the one saving democracy.
He has tapped into the fear and anxiety about demographic change in the US.
This polarization in the United States. Some people are even suggesting that there could be a civil war.
You are this unable to solve your own domestic problems. You have no right to claim to be anybody else in the world. And we're moving into a multipolar world where the United States will not lead.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Big fan of Ian Bell, watching him very classy in all formats.
I find Durban quite a challenge, which is still an enjoyable one.
You're not allowed to bowl a bouncer, so that tells you that they want to see runs on the board.
बड़े अच्छे टूर्स किए हैं, बड़ी अच्छी यादें हैं हर जगह की, जहाँ मैंने पर्सनली क्रिकेट को बहुत एंजॉय किया है. ऑस्ट्रेलिया एंड इंडिया में बहुत ज़्यादा एंजॉय किया.
I love playing again England and India, and they were both very different challenges.
Up close and personal with legendary cricketers like never before. Icons of the pitch.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
This is News 9 Live, India's only digital exclusive live stream. For the early adopters, bringing you the news 24/7. For the smart audiences on the smartest TVs. News 9 Live. Stream now on your smart TVs.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए, और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है मनी 9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Meha Bhardwaj-Alter and this is Game On. After more than 2 weeks of non-stop action, we bid goodbye to the Paris Olympics 2024. From Noah Lyles winning 100 meters by 5,000th of a second to Simone Biles adding 4 more medals to her overflowing cabinet. We've seen some incredible athletes and some exceptional performances. We've seen Manu Bhaker creating history, becoming the first ever Indian athlete to win 2 medals in a single edition of the Summer Games. Neeraj Chopra, the golden boy, won a silver in javelin, making it 2 back-to-back medals in the Olympics for India. But we've also seen heartbreaks, 6 fourth-place finishes, and then the biggest heartbreak of them all, Vinesh Phogat's disqualification from the final of the 50-kilogram wrestling event. It's been a roller coaster ride for sports lovers. Let's in fact begin with the latest on Vinesh Phogat. Will she get a silver medal or not? The Court of Arbitration for Sports is expected to make a decision on Vinesh Phogat's plea against her disqualification at Paris Olympics 2024 by 9:30 p.m. Indian time tomorrow. The Court of Arbitration for Sports had deferred its final verdict on the wrestler's plea. In her appeal, Phogat also requested a joint silver as she was found overweight after she won the semi-final in Paris. The hearing of the Court of Arbitration for Sports in the case has been concluded. The Court of Arbitration has been slated to announce the final verdict in the case which is tomorrow, Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. India time. However, hours before the expected verdict. Okay, so this was before. In fact, they were slated to announce the verdict on Saturday. But just when we thought that they were going to send us the verdict or tell us the verdict, the decision was deferred to August 11th and then to August 13th, which is tomorrow, Tuesday. IOC in a statement has confirmed that the decision was deferred to Tuesday. The IOC statement read, the ad hoc division of CAS has extended time for the sole arbitrator on honorary Dr. Annabel Bennett in the Vinesh Phogat versus United World Wrestling and the International Olympic Committee matter to give a decision till 6 p.m., which is 9:30 p.m. India time on August 13th. The CAS ad hoc division set up especially for dispute resolution during the games had accepted Vinesh's appeal against her ouster on Friday. The Indian has demanded that she be given a joint silver with Cuban wrestler Yusnelis Guzman Lopez, who had lost to Vinesh but was later promoted to the final following the Indians' disqualification. American Sarah Hildebrandt won the gold